Now, as you know, Macbeth is at first hesitant about whether he should kill the king or not. So he says in Act 1, Scene 1, "We will proceed no further in this business." But compare this with Act 1, Scene 7, only 3 scenes later, where he suddenly says, "I am settled and bent up." So only 3 scenes later, he has suddenly changed his mind. And this, we know, is only the beginning of a long series of murders that Macbeth commits. So this can in fact be considered as the beginning of his downfall, from an honourable, brave soldier to a cold-blooded murderer. But what exactly is it that corrupts his mind and changes his character and his intentions so quickly? At the beginning of the lesson, you said that Lady Macbeth definitely plays a role in this. For example, you said that she manipulates him, talking him into killing Duncan. So how exactly does she do it? She does so by the powerful use of language. She employs proper rhetorical techniques, which you are already familiar with, such as rhetorical questions or the use of certain semantic fields to make the impact of her speech stronger, and figurative language such as metaphors and personification in order to enhance the impact of her speech. And thereby she makes her speech more persuasive and tries to influence Macbeth. And we know that she will succeed. So what I would like us to do now is have a close look into the text and analyze in detail how exactly she uses language in order to achieve a certain effect and incite Macbeth to kill Duncan in the end. What I'm going to do first is I will model one passage from Act 1, Scene 7, and show you how exactly I would like you to analyze further passages, which I will hand out to you afterwards.
As you can see, Lady Macbeth uses the semantic field of cowardice and fear a lot in her passage. For example, by asking her husband whether he is afeard, meaning afraid in modern English, of taking the next step. Then secondly, by explicitly calling him a coward. And thirdly, by asking whether he dare not take the next step he takes in order to become king. This impression is further emphasised by the use of several rhetorical questions. In fact, if you have a close look at the passage, almost the entire passage or a speech consists of rhetorical questions which have a very provocative effect on Macbeth. For example, we've got one rhetorical question here. Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since, and wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? We've got a second one here. Art thou afeard? Again, including words from the semantic field of cowardice and fear, to be the same in thine own act and valour as thou art in desire. And finally, the last one, wouldst thou not have that, and which thou esteemest the ornament of life, and live a coward, again including the word coward, in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat i' that itch. Those rhetorical questions mock and provoke Macbeth by being accused of being a coward and implying that he does not want or is not willing to take the next step in order to become king. So he won't take any risks in order to get what he actually desires. This is finally emphasised by the use of two similes, which again revolve around fear and cowardice. So Lady Macbeth clearly employs a very powerful use of language with a provocative effect, making Macbeth feel like a coward weakling, like an unmanly man, and thereby she stirs up his rage and anger until he eventually agrees to kill the king. So by her speech, he is in fact persuaded to kill King Duncan, and this initiates his downfall in the further progression of the play.
I will now hand out those two passages you are going to analyse individually, the way I just modelled the first passage. You should especially look out for the use of figurative language and rhetorical techniques that Lady Macbeth uses in order to persuade Macbeth to kill the king. I'm also going to hand out a list of these, so you can refer to these in your analysis. You have 15 minutes to complete this task. If you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to ask.